So for today's warm-up, we're doing 16.1, and we're introducing you guys to something called the quadratic formula today. So your warm-up today was to answer 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if some of you were unsure of what this plus minus means, it was either plus or minus is how you read that. So what the question is saying is each expression represents two numbers. Evaluate the expressions and write the two numbers. So what this is saying is I'm going to do 1 plus the square root of 49 and 1 minus the square root of 49. So I know the square root of 49 is 7. So I'm going to do 1 plus 7. And it's also, which is 8. And I'm going to do 1 minus 7, which is negative 6. So my answers here are 8 and negative 6. Over here, 8 plus or minus 2 divided by 5. So I'm going to do 8 plus 2 over 5, which equals 10 over 5, which equals 2. And I'm going to do 8 minus 2 over 5, which equals 6 over 5. And we can just keep that as our answer, 6/5. The next one is plus or minus the square root of this entire thing. So I'm going to do plus the square root of negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 4 times 1 is negative 16, which then equals the square root of 9. And this is plus or minus, plus or minus. So the square root of 9 is either a positive 3 or a negative 3. And then the last one, negative 18 plus or minus the square root of 36, which is 6. So plus 6 over 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay. Negative 18 plus 6 is negative 12 divided by 6, which equals negative 2. Or we can do negative 18 minus 6 over 6, which equals negative 24 over 6, which equals negative 4. So those are your answers for our warm-up today. When you see this plus and minus sign, it means plus or minus. We're going to continue on. We're going to skip over 16.2. And we're going to move straight to 16.3, which is where we are going to meet the quadratic formula. So here's the formula for quadratic formula. It is x equals the opposite, that minus sign means the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. The formula can be used to find the solutions of any quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So our standard form, where a, b, and c are numbers and a is not 0. So we have to put this into standard form. We move on to the next page. It's going to show you an example. So this example shows how it is used to solve x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. So that's in standard form. So the first thing we want to do is identify our a, b, and c values. So a is 1. Remember, this is like an imaginary 1 right there. B is negative 8. Make sure you take the negative sign. And c is 15. So again, our formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. We're going to substitute our numbers in 1, negative 8, and 15. So we're going to do the opposite of negative 8. That's our b value, plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 15 all over 2 times 1. We're going to evaluate each part of the expression. So the opposite of negative 8 is a positive 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. And negative 4 times 1 times 15 is negative 60. 2 times 1 as our denominator is 2. We're going to keep on Simplifying it, 64 minus 60 is 4. So now we have 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 over 2, which comes out to 8 plus or minus 2, because the square root of 4 is 2, over 2. 8 plus 2 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. 8 minus 2 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. And that's how we get our answers. If you go from here to here without these steps on a test, you will not get marked correct. You need to be showing your work. You need to be doing it. It takes time. Yes, it is time consuming. I know that. But you need to show me all of the steps in order to get from the beginning to the end. Okay? I'm going to do one more with you, and then you guys are going to work in breakout rooms with partners, and you guys are going to finish the rest of them. So we have x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals 0. It gives us the solutions each time. So it just wants us to solve it and practice it and make sure that we get the answer. So the answers we're looking for are -5 and 1. So I'm going to start off, like I said, always start off with our A, B, and C values. Our A value is a 1. Again, this would have an imaginary 1 right there. B value is 4. And our C value, remember, take that sign with us, it is -5. So the first step, x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times our a times our c. We're going to put that all over 2 times our a. So that's our first step, is substituting that into our formula, our equation. Now we're going to simplify, so I'm going to do x equals -4 plus or minus the square root. 4 squared is 16. -4 times 1 times -5 is a positive 20. And 2 times 1 is 2. Keep on simplifying. We're going to do x equals -4 plus or minus the square root of 36 all over 2. This is where I like to separate. They didn't do it here. They put it all together, but I like to separate it, whichever one you like better. I'm going to do x equals -4 plus, and I know the square root of 36 is 6 over 2. And then x equals -4, and I know the other square root of 36 is our -6 over 2. -4 plus 6 is 2 over 2, which is simplified as 1, and that's what we got here. -4 minus 6 is -10 divided by 2, so x equals -5, and that's the other one we wanted. So again, we want to make sure we have multiple steps, so we are showing all of our work from substitution all the way to our answers, okay? Just because we can type this into our calculators does not mean that is what I want to see on the test. I want to see what you all can do rather than what the calculator can do. So please make sure you're showing your steps, simplifying along the way, creating your 2 equations, and getting your answers. So again, you're going to work in partners. You're going to do question 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.